tell you, you know.
All right, we're.
I can tell you the whole story.
It's not working. Stupid thing. There we go.
I could take more sunglasses off. My friend used to have a computer where he did all that job.
Yeah. Okay, now we're ready.
Okay. My name is.
So where do you want to begin?
Well, I'm going to start off from Germany, from Berlin. Germany.
Okay.
Shall I start already?
Yeah, go for it.
My parents were born in Turkey, Istanbul, Turkey. In 1914, the Turks killed 1 million Armenians because they were Christian. My parents are Sephardic Jews. When they saw that a million got killed, they ran away from Turkey. They went to Germany because the Germans and the Turks were partners in the First World War.
Where are your parents originally from?
From Istanbul, Turkey.
From before that?
Well, maybe their grand-grand were from Spain, 1492, when they kicked the Sephardic Jews, the Spanish Jews,
yeah.
and Turkey took them. But anyway, they got to Germany, and my father liked the German because in 1920 everything was done, and then he opened up a Persian rock shop, and everybody thought that we were Turks instead of Jewish, because my father was, Sephardic. They didn't look like Orthodox Jews. They looked like regular Jews. So anyway, I make it short. In 1933, I was born in 1920. In 1933, I had my bar mitzvah. So arrived in the temple, everything was okay. But at night, when we had a party at my parents' apartment, somebody knocked on the door. My father opened up and he saw 2 Nazis with the sword. What the hell is going? What the hell is going on? My father says, my son Bertie, come on in and have a couple of drinks. So the 2 Nazis went in there and they drank with 20 other people. They were Germans and Turkish, but they didn't look Jewish. So they ran away. So everything was okay till the Crystal Night. And this is what I was at 2 years ago at the Holocaust right here in Miami, and they took us on television, and I told them the whole story. We lived in Berlin, where my parents had a beautiful Persian rock shop. We heard all the damages happening on Kristallnacht. We heard the windows breaking all over, the crashing noise. We lived on the 8th floor, and we could see on our street that all the stores were destroyed, and new clothing was on the road. Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
That afternoon, we wanted to my father's store. We walked to my father's store, and we saw all the drugs being stolen. A Gestapo agent that knew my father and bought some drugs over. He made the thugs leave. Then he told my father, I'm going to own all the drugs from your store, but I'll make sure you get out of Berlin, go home. We went first to our synagogue. They burned it down. One of our German neighbors said, thank God you're alive. We have friends in another neighborhood who are getting killed. My father, brother, and mother and sister were in Berlin. We talked to them once, but never again. They all got killed. My mother also had family in Havana, Cuba. They said, don't worry. We just come, we clear the immigration. So the afternoon, after Crystal Night, the Nazi came to our house and told my father, write down that you gave me your store because I paid for it. You give me all your money from the bank, but I'm going to get 3 tickets for you, your wife, your son, to go to Havana. So we wrote that the Nazis was entitled to our store and our money. That was the deal, and that saved our life. Without the money, we would all have gotten killed. The Nazi bought us tickets on a ship called Orinoco, which is the sister ship of the St. Louis. He said we could take our furniture to Havana so we could have something. He drove us to Hamburg in the back of a Mercedes. The ship left the next day. We saw our belongings on the dock, but when my father asked the captain to load it, he says, we didn't pay the German enough to leave. if we paid in Havana, we would send it. He said, we kissed each other, and thank God we were on the ship in Havana. We paid off the immigration officer and got in. Later in Cuba, I was on the pier, and I saw the San Luis in 1939, and the Cubans wouldn't let him in, and they tried to get to the United States, and Roosevelt wouldn't let him get in either, and they got back to Europe. 1/3 went to England, they saved, and 2/3 got killed. So this was the story in Cuba. Now, what happened is in 1940, we were 2 years in Havana. In 1940, finally, just to make sure, the United States Consul General, Republic of Cuba, before me, Raoul Washington, Vice Consul of the United States of America, duly commissioned and qualified personality, came Norman Hayon, who being duly placed under oath, the post and says as follows. My name is Norman Hayon, and my present home is in Finca Paso Seco, Calabazar, Havana. I was born on March 20th, 1920 in Berlin. I wish to proceed to the United States for permanent residence. But as my citizenship is undetermined, I'm unable to obtain a valid travel for my journey. They gave us all the business. My parents and I all we went to 1940. We got to New York. In 1940, one of my relatives said, you know what, Norman, there's a German place on 86th Street in New York City. I go there and I saw all swastikas everywhere. I said, what the hell is going on? This is Germany? This is the United... It was about July 1940. All of a sudden in the newspaper there was a big sign that says, Fritz Cuban will have a meeting with German-American Bund at the Madison Square Garden in New York. I went there and I saw 10,000 with the swastikas all over. So I said, you know what, I can't take this any longer. So my friend says, you know what, why don't you join the army? And in 1942, all my friends joined the army, and here is what, I have all the papers here. Mr. and Mrs. Carl Hayon from Anthony Avenue come to see their German-born son Norman leave for induction into the U.S. Army. I'll read this later. But what happened is, because I spoke German, there's a place in Hagerstown, Maryland called Camp Ritchie. As a matter of fact, they made a movie out of it. They taught us how to interrogate German prisoners. And also they showed us how to do encoding, decoding messages. And to make it short, we were there from, I would say from January 43 to June of 43. And then, to make it short, they took us on a ship, and on a big ship we went past Gibraltar, and the first place that we went, Algiers. I was with the headquarters of Eisenhower. I was in charge of, here it is, code clerk in Eisenhower's headquarters in Algiers. Set codes for converter machine, encoded and decoded messages, operated secret coding machine, which is called Cigaba machine. Checked encoded messages, cryptographic technician, encoded and decoded graphic. So anyway, we learned that, and then in 1944, we finally, our outfit called 849 Signal Intelligence moved to Italy, and we took over the Palace of the King in Naples, Caserta. We took over with
in Italy?
In Italy. Naples and the palace was called Caserta, about an hour away from Naples. So while we are there in coding messages, the infantry at Mount Casino captured the Germans from Mount Casino. So they said to our head, hey, call these German Jews in, we want to interrogate them. So what happened, we were about 20 of them. We took our Jeep and we drove from Naples to Mount Casino. Once we were in Mount Casino, the infantry took about 20 Germans there. I said, okay, interrogate them. So I took my 45. I said in German, Hände hoch, put the arms up. The ones that went up like that, I said, take your shoulder. Some of them had SS tattoo. We didn't interrogate them. The infantry soldiers took them in the woods, but the regular soldiers, we said, ich bin ein Jude. I'm going to kill you if you don't. I got all the information. That was our job till the end of the war. The war ended.
The U.S. Army?
Yes, sure, U.S. Army. I was in military intelligence, U.S. Army. As a matter of fact, it was called. I got everything here.
So you're a veteran.
849 Signal Intelligence Service, Mediterranean Theater, U.S. Army. Here, APL 512, U.S. Army. See?
Yeah.
That was in May 45 when the war was over. Then I was in charge of 400 German prisoners in the U.S. PW camp. I had the orders to hire. So that was my job. But after the war, I had 3 points here. Show you that. Okay, I got 3 points over here, which means I had 18 points, and they said, well, we want you to go to Germany, open up a government with them. I said, no, I got 18 points, I'm entitled to get back to this. I want to go back. So October of 1945, I got back to the United States. And that was my story.
And what did you do after that one?
Well, that's what 2 weeks after I got out of the Army, my friend says there's a nightclub here in 69th Street in New York City. It's called Vienna Cafe. I got in there, and there were 4 beautiful girls sitting. I said to her, may I have this dance? While I'm dancing to her, I said, gee, you got an accent? Oh, I was born in Vienna, Austria. And I said, well, I was born in Berlin. So we spoke German, and that's how we got together.
How's your wife?
In 1945, 1948, we got married.
How old were you then?
I was 28, and I was married 61 years. So we had a wonderful marriage. I have a son and everything else. And
where does your son live?
He lives in Boca, and he's an optician. He's there now. I was there a couple of weeks ago at my birthday there, 93, but I don't tell anybody how old
69.
I am. No, when the woman asked me how old I am, I said, I was born in 1944, and she looks at me, she says, you're 69? Yeah, I love 69. I don't tell her the age. Listen, there's so many people that are in the 80s, they don't know, I do everything. Your mother knows me exactly the way I am. So that's about it.
Okay.
All right? You want to have some pictures or something?
Yeah.
See?